there are things that you can do that will maximize your chances of living a long, healthy life. And I come to these with a rigorous view based on epidemiology and the best scientific evidence. And they're pretty simple. There are 6 keys to a long, healthy life. And although they may sound familiar, the details are really important because the details aren't what most doctors will tell you they are. The first is blood pressure, which is actually the world's leading cause of death. The second is lipids or cholesterol, controlling those well. The third is physical activity, the closest thing there is to a wonder drug. The fourth is healthy nutrition, making sure that you're eating healthy. That's probably the most complicated topic, but there are some simple things that are likely right. The fifth is getting enough sleep, under-recognized, but really important. Your body and your brain repair themselves when you sleep. Not so easy for everyone to get good sleep, but important. And the sixth is avoiding toxins. There are lots of toxins in our environment. The most obvious one is tobacco. There are still hundreds of thousands of Americans who die every year because of tobacco. Alcohol is also a toxin. Soot or PM 2.5 are also toxins. And there are newer toxins that we're just learning more about, like microplastics and nanoparticles and endocrine disruptors. So these 6 things, there's a lot you can do to be healthier. Even if you just take the first most basic one, blood pressure, everyone says, yeah, I know that. But actually, the best scientific data on blood pressure proves actually, that once your blood pressure goes over 115, for every 20-point increase, your risk of having a heart attack, stroke, or dying young doubles. So if your blood pressure, you go to the doctor, they say, 135, it's normal. It's not normal. It's abnormal. It's doubling your risk of dying or being disabled young.
Why would they say it's normal?
Because that's the tradition. We have traditionally said that 140 is the level. But if you take a public health approach, an epidemiologic approach, and you look at it, you say, actually, it's not normal. And there are some really fascinating studies. In fact, my father worked with a wonderful doctor who did studies in the 1980s in 28 countries. He showed that blood pressure increases with age in most societies, but not in all. They identified 4 societies where there was no age-related increase in blood pressure. People had a blood pressure of 90/60 when they were 16 years old and 90/60 when they were 60 years old. The reason for that almost certainly was that they consumed very little sodium. We consume way too much sodium. So we may not be able to get down to that level, but if we reduce sodium and increase potassium, our blood pressure will come down. And there's a really easy way to do that by potassium-enriched low-sodium salts. You can get them at the supermarket or on Amazon and use less salt. Getting the basics right is really important. Getting your blood pressure and your lipids not just in the so-called normal range, but in the really healthy range. That means a blood pressure under 120. That means what's called LDL-C, ideally under 70. ApoB under 70. You're talking about big benefits. Physical activity, at least 30 minutes a day, at least 4 days a week. At least moderate activity. That can be a brisk walk outdoors 4 days a week. If you get regular physical activity, you're less likely to get cancer, heart disease, stroke, kidney failure, arthritis. You're going to sleep better. You're going to be more likely to live independently. You're going to be less likely to get depression. Nobody's going to make money on you taking, except maybe the shoe company, you're taking more brisk walks 4 days a week. But it's really, really important for your health. And nobody's going to do it for you. You have to do it. But you can do that by making it easy, by making simple changes in your life that make it more likely that you'll continue that. We never succeed really reliably when we ask people to do things they don't want to do or don't enjoy doing. So rather than deny yourself pleasures, find things you love doing that are healthy and do more of them. Maybe it's walking with friends. Maybe it's dancing. Maybe it's playing sports. Maybe it's walking your dog. There are lots of things you can do to get more physical activity. When it comes to nutrition, there are a couple of really simple things that we really believe would make a big difference. One is to consume more potassium and less sodium. So there are lists of high potassium foods, and actually the more of those you eat within reason, the better. So you don't have to deny yourself all the things that you want to do. Rather, find things that you love doing and do more of them. And then on the toxins front, really important to quit smoking if you smoke. If you smoke, there is nothing you can do that will give you as much benefit to your health as quitting. Most people who've ever smoked have already quit, especially for people who smoke a lot or smoke early in the morning or have difficulty not smoking. Really important to get medications and support. They can double or triple the likelihood that you will succeed. We don't do enough to reduce potential toxins in our environment. There's a lot of PFAS and other contaminants in our water. About half of the water in America has PFAS in it. And we don't really know all of the harms of PFAS, but it's not good for you, that's for sure. When I tried to find valid information on food that wasn't somebody trying to sell something, it was remarkably hard. But there are certain foods that are generally healthy. Unsalted or lightly salted nuts, vegetables that you enjoy, fruits, olive oil, and fish. Basically, within reason, you can have almost as much of those as you want. Not necessarily deep fried and, with lots of salt on them and other things. You need to try to have less sugar and less sodium. For the potassium, it's pretty interesting because it's not only the amount of potassium that's in the food, but the amount that is absorbed by you. This includes things like sweet potatoes, salmon, spinach, white beans, avocados. Everyone thinks of bananas as having potassium, and they do, but so does yogurt, pistachios, tomatoes, mushrooms. So there's lots of foods, and you don't have to deny yourself things you like.